At this time, we'll call the court to order. Gina, you got my cheat sheet in there? Who? All right, at this time, I'd like to ask Commissioner Booth if he would say the invocation.
Dear Heavenly Father, as we come before you this evening, Lord, Lord, continue to watch over this court, Lord. This court continues to move everything in the right direction, dear Heavenly Father, and watch over all of us that's here this evening, dear Heavenly Father. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I'd like to ask Mr. Chester Hogston if he would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Sir. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Judge Jones,
Present.
Commissioner Robertson,
Here.
Commissioner Tackett,
Here.
Commissioner Booth.
Here.
We have a quorum and we are ready to proceed. The next item is the approval of the minutes of the May 24th, 2022 meeting of the Pike County Fiscal Court. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Booth. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Tackett. Any question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson,
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett.
Yes.
Commissioner Booth.
Yes.
Judge Jones.
Yes. The next item is a status update on the Pike County landfill by Mr. Tom Ramsey of Geosyntec Consultants. Tom, come on up and welcome back. For the folks who are tuning in at home that may not be familiar, Tom is the project engineer on the landfill expansion. He is a consulting engineer that we brought in to help try to figure out some long-term solutions to our solid waste system. And Tom has been the consulting engineer that's overseeing the permitting process for the landfill expansion. That permit was approved back in the spring. And the next step will be, as I understand it, Tom, to submit the technical drawings. And probably later this fall or in the winter, we anticipate that the State Division of Waste Management will approve the design of the landfill expansion.
That's correct, Judge Jones.
And could you go ahead and just, I know you've had an opportunity to, I'm just going to turn the floor over to you.
Sure.
How's that?
Sure. Just as a start, for some of my earlier visits with the court, I have usually start off with a visit to the landfill. Spent some time with the landfill manager, Larry Hensley. Had a good visit with him. We were out there for about an hour and a half. The purpose of a couple was just sort of see how operations are going. From my estimation, in comparison just with the years of service I've done, the landfill appears to be well run and continue on a good path that we've talked about multiple times with the court in the past. So leachate is under control. The working face is being well run. There's grass growing on the side. It is a landfill, so there is garbage that has to be buried every day and all of those things, but it is a well-run site, for which I'm glad. Also had a chance to just double check, to just sort of proof test a few things in the field with regard to the expansion that we've been diligently working on for the last 6 months or so to get the final design together for the expansion. Just double checking some things, where the locations of various pieces of the landfill are to make sure that things can work properly. Where we are with the expansion right now, as Judge Jones mentioned, it's a 4-part process in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and we are approaching the last part of that permit expansion, which is the technical application, where we do the detailed design of the landfill. This is the result of that detailed design, a couple of 4-inch binders with lots of technical analyses, lots of plans that are required by the Division of Waste Management with regard to operating the landfill, monitoring the landfill, making sure that there are contingency plans should something happen that's not expected, and all of the things that go with having a modern sanitary landfill, and then in addition to the drawings themselves. A couple of facts, now that we've kind of gotten to the last bit of the expansion. The landfill will go in size from about 24 acres to about 44 acres, so a little bit less than doubling. The expansion volume will go from about 3.5 million to over 8 million cubic yards. So as we discussed before, that will provide an expansion space for the next 50 years for the county operations. So this is your long-term solution for solid waste here in Pike County, and we're very excited to be at this point where we are in the drawings. Right now I am coordinating with other county staff to get the county's last review. For example, we have operations plans that describe the equipment that's on the site and the operating procedures. We want to make sure that what we're saying is going to be done is consistent with what is being done in the landfill right now. So there's a little bit of coordination going on, and this should be finalized by the end of the week and then submitted.
Now, I think it's fair to say that we had to go back and reclaim some airspace that was lost due to a bad survey that was done several years ago. Is that a fair?
Yes, there is a lot of space yet to get out there.
So when the prior administration or whoever, I don't even want to use the prior administration, but at some point in the past, when the landfill went from phase 4 to phase 5, there was a survey done that missed the elevations by about 20 feet.
Correct.
So there was 20 feet of airspace left on phase 4 when they went to phase 5.
Correct.
Which was a substantial amount of time.
It is.
And we've gone back and the best we could try to recapture that lost airspace.
Correct.
And if we hadn't done that, is it fair to say, Tom, that we're in a race right now to try to get the permit application done, the funding in place to do the first phase of the expansion, and get it constructed before the current landfill fills up?
That's exactly right. We have a couple of years left in the existing landfill, so we've got to get this final permit approved and be ready for construction on the expansion to start for the beginning of the construction season next year, to see if we can't get it done by then we're going to have to do a different plan, which is going to be building a small piece of the existing landfill, which we don't want to do if we can avoid it.
And if we hadn't been able to go back and get this lost airspace back, I think we would be at maximum capacity on phase
Absolutely.
5.
You would have already had to start building the next cell there's one cell that's left under the current permit, and we would be constructing that this summer if you had not gone back.
And the problem with going to phase 6 is it's only going to get you a year and a half or so, maybe 2.
Well, we would size it to just get us enough space to land through. The problem with building phase 6 is it's out of sequence for what you want. When with the expansion, we want to go back to the bottom of the valley and then fill it from there up, as opposed to trying to put something at the very top at the end. It's more expensive, it's less efficient. It's just not the way to go if you can possibly avoid it.
We looking about $1.5 million just to do phase 6, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Easily, yes.
And that's only going to buy you a couple of years.
Correct.
So we were able to get this airtime, but I mean, we're really going to be right up against the wall,
We are.
so to speak, by the time we can get it. Because it's going to take, how long do you anticipate once it goes to construction?
It's going to be every bit of a year to do the construction, to get it to the point where we can get the cell ready for disposal.
A lot of people were really upset that this court, when we first came in, undertook to revamp the solid waste system. And, whether people want to blame me for that or not, I'll stand by that decision. It was the right thing to do for the people of this county. It was the responsible thing to do for the people of this county, because the landfill was reaching a critical point when, if we hadn't started 3.5 years ago, if we had waited a year to start trying to expand it, it's done.
Correct.
You're going to be shutting it down, or you're going to be spending a lot more money just trying to buy time to get through the permit process. So we're looking at about a 4-year process from the time we started this by the time we get the drawings approved, roughly.
Correct.
And is there anything we need to do on our end to expedite the approval of the technical application?
Well, the best way to help yourself with an application is to be having a good landfill operation while it's under review. And I would say you've got one. I just want to remind folks again, when I first stepped out on the site the first time in the winter of 2020, if you remember, there were, I believe, 5 NOVs that were outstanding on the landfill.
Tell the folks that are listening what an NOV is.
It's a notice of violation, which is...
It's a citation.
It's a citation for not operating the landfill in accordance with the Kentucky regulations, and it dealt with basic operational things, managing water on the site, covering the waste every day.
Leachate.
Yeah, which is the water leachate, and then getting having equipment that's properly operating. And at the time, we were looking at some of the ideas that were being kicked around. Were going to be a lot of money installing additional gas wells, maybe doing some additional capping that would have all been ripped out in the end of the day anyway, in order to try to get the expansion. So I don't take credit for this myself. It's a good effort for everybody who's at the landfill and the folks who have been working really hard to shape up the operation so that it is shedding water properly, that grass is growing, that waste is being placed and compacted well, that you are not getting those notices of violation. Because if you come to the state with an application and you've got a long laundry list of being a poor operator within Kentucky, you are not going to get what you're looking to get at the end of the day.
When I first took this office, when this court first came in, we'd go get the mail, and we would have, it was not uncommon to find a letter from the state with 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 citations in it. And we've cleaned that up. Mm-hmm. And Larry Hensley's done a remarkable job as a landfill manager. We certainly appreciate the job he's done. Can you give the court a cost estimate? Now, I know this is going to have changed based on our conversations earlier today, but let's talk about things. A lot of things have changed.
Yes.
If this court hadn't made the hard decision to raise the solid waste rates, we would not have even been able, we're going to spend about $1 million this year on diesel fuel. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be somewhere in that range. Is it about 1.2 million on diesel fuel, just on the fuel. And who knows where it's going to be next year. And we've not raised rates. We've been able to absorb that. It's cutting into the money that we're trying to set aside to pay down on the landfill expansion. Our goal is not to have to borrow all the money to do this, to be able to pay part of it down, because, interest rates are going up now. And, we want to be as frugal as possible. But it is very concerning what the inflationary impact on construction costs are going to be. What are you seeing on that, Tom, on other landfills? It is significant.
I did, just as I was coming in this morning, just a brief bit of research, getting your point on diesel fuel. On the AAA website, I identified that in June of 2021, the average price of diesel in Kentucky was $3.10. Driving by today on the way coming into Pikeville, I saw $5.80, I believe, is what I saw on one of the gas stations. So that, and you can imagine in construction where you're now moving hundreds of thousands of yards of soil and rock, and part of the expansion includes a relocation of some waste in the landfill so that we can build this the expansion with a large buttress at the bottom. That all works into construction costs very directly. Everyone knows labor has gotten more expensive in the last few years. And then other things of steel, equipment. I am sure that you can tell me better than I can quote to you what has happened to the costs of your trucks and heavy machinery.
Parts, assuming you can even find parts.
In the last year. So those obviously are directly applicable to a contractor. So yes, the numbers are getting much more expensive. I've got a couple of public clients within the state of Maryland that just have started cell construction on their landfills, recognizing that Maryland and Kentucky are not exactly apples to apples in their comparison, but the numbers that they got on bids in 2022 this spring were about 35% higher than what they had for their last cell, which was maybe 3 years ago. So there is significant inflation in the construction marketplace. We do a lot of work with contractors as part of our business, and just talking with them, a lot of them are very fearful because when you sign a contract, you're signing a fixed price contract where you're going to be constructing for a full year. And look at what's happened to diesel fuel in the last 12 months. Well, so if they don't price something appropriately, that's a lot of money that they now have to eat. So they're becoming nervous on their bid prices at this point. Hopefully things will calm down, but who knows? I mean, between now and next spring is a lot of things can happen.
Hopefully inflation's going to start to get under control sooner rather than later. But, you know, this is something that we couldn't expect. And obviously the $6 or $6.5 million estimate that we anticipated for this first phase of the expansion is likely going to cost more.
I can assure you it will cost more, just given what's out there now. Where that final number comes, I don't know, because I look at what's happened with diesel prices in 12 months here in Kentucky. I mean, that's almost doubling of those. You know, we're going up by 65% now. You know, diesel's volatile. Could it drop 65% a year? Sure. Could it go up further? Who knows? I mean, who would have thought the things that are going on in the world today that are impacting fuel prices or you know, supply chain issues?
You know, I was interested, you know, you had told us at a prior meeting that in Maryland where you live, you're paying around $600 a year for solid waste.
Yes, that's what I pay. Where I am as a resident in Anne Arundel County, Maryland, I pay $600 a year for my service.
And our regular rates at $290 here. Talked to Donna, your colleague who lives in Louisville, and she said that it was anywhere, depending on the contractor, from $40 to $60 a month. And what we're trying to do is keep the rates as low as possible. Do you still believe that we're better off expanding our landfill instead of shutting it down, incurring the cost of closing it, building a transfer station, and hauling it to Ashland?
Oh, it's an absolute no-brainer. It's obviously less expensive.
Well, there's some folks here that would disagree with you. They think it's
I fully respect that. I don't mean to be dismissive of that at all. I mean, people, but I just, my information from what's out there, if you've got to, and I've done a brief analysis of it, if you look at hauling waste to Ashland, which is going to be almost 300 miles round trip, plus having to build a transfer station and operate it, so you've got that additional expense. You've still got to pay the disposal at Big Run or wherever it is that you would go. That would not be, might be a little bit less, but not a whole lot less than what your current rates are here in the county. And then still collect. You're looking at probably something, certainly more than 50%, maybe as much as doubling the price of what you're doing, because it's incredibly, I mean, look at where trucking is right now. I mean, for $5 or almost $6 a gallon for diesel.
Yeah, I mean, your haul bill, you're at 50,000 tons a year, conservatively, you're looking at a minimum of 2,000 loads of garbage that would have to be hauled to Ashland every year. With diesel close to, you know, $5, almost $6. I mean, you're probably looking at, I don't know that you could haul, you could contract with somebody for $500 a load. That would be, Ronnie, what do you think? You're in the trucking business. Could you get somebody to haul a load to Ashland back for $500? What do you think? I talked to one trucker when this first came up. He thought it would be $500, and this was in 2019. What do you think you're looking at to get somebody to haul? How many tons do you think you could get compacted on a tractor trailer of garbage? Because, you know, it's not like coal where it's a dense or gravel. 25 tons. Could you get 25 in a tractor trailer? Be about the max. What do you think the haul bill per load would be? A load at 2,000 loads a year. Reggie, what's Letcher County paying the landfill that they're hauling it to?
Judge, I don't know the exact number. Chuck may know that the issue for Letcher County is the distance they're having to haul to Laurel Ridge. And it's significant distance. It's 200 or 300 miles round trip.
You know, Ronnie's numbers, Tom, just the haul bill for the garbage is $3 million.
Mm-hmm.
You're $3 million to shut it down. Then you've got to build a transfer station. I think your estimate was somewhere around $2.5–3 million for that. So you're at $9 million. And that $3 million for hauling is probably going to be something you're going to have to deal with that in perpetuity if you shut it down.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, you're going to have to pay somewhere around, let's just say $40 a ton conservatively, which is what we charge, to get them to take it, which is another $2 million a year.
Correct. And you've got your, I'm not sure where we are in closure, post-closure funding with regard to.
That account is we've not caught it up because we've had to spend so much. You know, it was one of those deals, do you catch up on your escrow or do you pay for the expansion?
Correct.
Now, going forward, we're going to have to increase that escrow amount.
Correct.
But I don't think we can do that until we know what the exact cost is going to be.
Correct. But the benefit is that with additional 50 years of space, now
Then we've got time to catch
you
up.
can pay it over 50 years instead of the 5 years you've got, or whatever, the small amount of space that's left in the existing land.
So let me ask you this. If you shut it down right now,
Correct.
it's $3 million for the closure cost, roughly.
Well, that you've got to add to the escrow that you've got in place, yes.
So it's $3 million more that has to go in that escrow account.
Correct.
Does that cover the closure cost itself?
Well, you've got to have in the escrow for both closure and post-closure. And from the current estimate that's out there for the landfill, you're about half funded of the $6 million total. You've got about 3. Is that correct? Okay, 4.4. So we're still $2 million short.
So you're $2 million short on that end. But, you know, the post-closure cost, if inflation continues, is going to be.
I agree. That's the estimate for 30 years, but who knows?
You guys have any questions about this, where we are on this project?
I just know it costs a whole lot to truck your garbage to Ashland.
Well, there's some people, though, Commissioner, that thinks that, you know, what we did was wrong and they want to call it a garbage tax or whatever. I can tell you, Tom, if we had to haul it to Ashland, they'd be really unhappy.
I would agree.
And,
I'm sure of that.
you know, I'll stand by that decision because of the, you know, it's sort of like going to a doctor when they tell you to take your medicine or bad things are going to happen. You know, we're having to pay we're playing catch up right now.
Correct.
And this is less painful in the long term than what the alternative would be. And I can assure you there's not a single person here that wanted to ever raise a garbage rate, me included. I got a lot of advertising because of it, as some of you may have seen. But, you know, fortunately, most of the people in this county recognize that it was necessary for the future. Without affordable solid waste disposal, it's a huge economic development killer. Because if you try to bring a business or industry in here and their garbage, particularly industrial garbage, is having to go 150 miles, that's a huge cost that they're going to have to incur. And, you know, this is a good thing for our local businesses, our coal industry, our consumers. And we appreciate all the work that Geosyntec Consultants has done on this. And you've gotten to be a regular down here, and we appreciate that.
Thank you, Judge Jones. It's
And,
my privilege to be able to do this.
Would you pass some of those pass those technical binders up just to the court and let the commissioners take a look at them real quick? And anybody else have any questions? Judge Hickman, I know you've worked hard on this. Would you like to comment on it? Tom, just because you have a master's degree from Duke, we won't hold it against you.
Please don't hold it. I know. I realize that now. Went to the wrong school.
Judge, I think we're anticipating a final turnaround on this by Friday at the latest, and I think we'll be in good shape. The the chase to the finish is always a little nerve-wracking, and there's a lot of uncertainty out there. We're still optimistic that we'll make it and we'll be finished before we fill up the current landfill. Larry has done a remarkable job, as well as the staff up there, in terms of handling all the issues that were in place when we first got here with this administration. It's still an ongoing battle. It's just like the litter cages that we just had to purchase. We didn't anticipate that. At this point in time, when the state comes in to do a survey and do an inspection, we react very quickly and very seriously about what their requests are, discuss it with them, and then take action. And those litter, thanks to the court here, those litter cages are already in place, and we're in good shape there. If we have an existing issue, it's pond water monitoring, and we continue to battle that just a little bit. Timing with rain and things like that affects that sampling, so we'll probably continue to battle that. The expansion takes care, I think, of part of that problem, in that the pond will be expanded and it'll have a longer throat to it, if you will, run into the pond for sediment, and I think we'll have maybe a little bit cleaner result on our sampling after that's in place as well, so that may solve a problem too. We don't get notice of violation on that, but we do get spanked just a little bit. So they're after us, but they understand too that water sampling thing is hit and miss after a rain. I feel, Judge and court, commissioners, I feel pretty good about where we're at. It's going to be really, really close. We knew that, and we've known that for a long time, and we're trying to push through the paperwork and cooperate with Geosyntec in any way we can, and they have done a really good job. This is a very difficult task, very, very heavy lift to get this done. They've done a remarkable job so far.
One question, Tom, is when do you anticipate that we're going to need to have the bonding in place to cover the construction costs? Are we talking after first of the year, or because we're not going to obviously go to construction in January, February, in the middle of winter?
Correct.
So March, April,
Correct.
Have the funding in place?
That would be the time, yes.
And I'll need to get with our financial advisor, Compass Financial, or Compass Municipal Advisors, to find out what kind of time frame we're looking to do a bond issue. And it's unfortunate that something people need to realize is what's happening with bond rates right now. Municipal bonds, the rates are going up. Stock market's taking a hit, so bonds are going up. That's bad for us, because that means we're going to end up incurring more interest costs. Or, if this had been done some time ago, we may not have been in that position, but we've worked on this diligently for almost 3.5 years now.
Mm-hmm.
So
and the amount of construction that's starting to take place, I think it's going to be a big determination on how long our landfill lasts, because it seems like every day we're getting more and more construction started. It's putting more debris in the landfill.
Correct. Yeah, I think one thing to consider would be that this fall that we do another quick survey of where the landfill is with regard to remaining volume, and we just do a last check. We'll be well along the permitting process, and then we'll be able to confirm the amount of space that's available. It's sort of before we get into the process of preparing construction drawings and figuring it out at that point.
And I'll say this, I had picked up on the fact that no money was set aside for a new landfill, and this thing was going to be an issue when I was reading minutes of prior fiscal courts. But Commissioner Booth really saved the people of this county a painful lesson. He came in with a picture, and two pictures 6 months apart, and you may remember the story, right before we took office. And that landfill, phase 5, was filling up extremely fast. And we've had to really be diligent on compacting and placement. One of the things that would have helped is when this landfill was built, if they had found a way to put construction debris where it could be either mapped or located. You know what I'm saying? Construction debris could have been taken out. But Commissioner Booth's absolutely right. We've had a lot of construction take place, and there's been buildings demolished. You know, Jerry's restaurant, as an example, a lot of that debris went in the landfill. You know, my church did some demolition. That went in the landfill. And when you get those kind of big projects, you end up with more dense material that really can't be compacted.
Correct.
And it's been something that's concerning, and we're trying to do everything we can to buy time to get this done. But we're still, by the time we get this, we're at least a year and a half away from getting the new phase constructed, and I think we do need to do that survey this fall to see where we are. I'll tell you what it's also done, Tom, is it's kept the county from generating revenue from outside the county. Now, the plan is, at least in my opinion, or the plan should be, that when this expansion is done, is to take the extra material or extra space and use that to generate money from bringing garbage in from Letcher County or Floyd County, because that would be a way to sustain our solid waste system without having to raise rates on Pike County residents, or to at least even potentially allow us to lower rates if we could generate enough revenue. We've got a resource here that no other county in eastern Kentucky has.
Correct.
The closest landfill to us is Laurel County or Boyd County.
Correct.
No other county has a landfill. No other county surrounding us in Virginia or West Virginia, to my knowledge, has a landfill. We've got counties in Virginia and West Virginia that would look to bring garbage here that pays and help us pay for our solid waste system. Huge asset. And we've got to make sure that that asset can fulfill that role, is to help us generate enough money to sustain the system without burdening Pike County residents. To me, that's a lot more efficient and common sense approach than shutting it down, incurring all these recurring costs that we're going to be sending money outside the county. I don't think it's good that we would send $2 or $3 million a year to an out-of-state corporation that runs a landfill 100+ miles away.
Correct.
And but I do think we need to do that. Would the court be in agreement with that, surveying it this fall to make sure we know where we are? Brian, what are you seeing when you're up there every day? I mean, you're there every day.
Well, right now you're seeing more demolition and more remodeling than I've seen in a long time. That's the reason I say that I think you'll see it filling up faster than what you really think it will. I mean, there's a lot going on just right here in Pikeville, not counting what's going on outside the county. I think it'll fill up quicker. So I'd say it'd be real smart to do a survey on it this fall, see where you're at.
Yeah.
That works.
Judge, let me explain too a little bit about the construction debris part of this. It's not a compactable product when you're dealing with concrete, brick, and construction demolition type stuff. We can't compact it. And one of the things that this court has done that has helped us tremendously is the purchase of that new compactor. That helps us maximize our airspace, compact to a level that maximizes that airspace. Construction debris just won't compact. There's certain things it won't. So that makes it, even more difficult. But the technology that we added that the court helped us add with the compactor was the GPS system, so that we could monitor where the compactor is, how many passes that they're making over the garbage, and it has been a real plus to have a compactor with that technology on it.
If I can share an anecdote just from today's visit that would indicate that the compaction is going well at the landfill. In many landfills where the waste is not very well compacted, when you see the compactor, which has big steel wheels with big pins on the wheels that are meant to sort of churn up the waste and break it down and compact it, when those big steel wheel compactors go into fluffy waste, they just sort of sink into it, and you'll see the wheels start spinning, and they're just struggling to even, they'll turn the machine to try to get a little bit of traction to just kind of dig their way out of it because it's so fluffy. At the landfill today, just spending 20 minutes watching the working face and seeing the compactor, it was not that at all. It was on, it was clearly compacting the waste, thin lifts, was not having trouble going back and forth. It's clear it was on a fairly firm surface.
And people need to be reminded where their solid waste money goes. I mean, the compactor was almost $1 million, and that was at 800 some thousand, almost 900,000. I mean, that's a lot of money for one piece of equipment. And, it costs a lot of money to service 16,000 plus residential customers and nearly, Chuck, almost 2,000 commercial customers. I mean, that's a lot of garbage to pick up, a lot of customers to service every week. So, but anyway, we appreciate your assistance on this and look forward to getting this project moving forward.
Thank you.
Anybody have anything else? All right. Now, you'll work with Reggie and Chuck and Stephanie, Larry, to get the technical drawings where they need to be, and
Yes.
you'll be submitting that yourself?
Correct. Everything goes submitted electronically now.
Okay.
Through the Division of Waste Management, so we're going to get that in. But I am having, when we're done, the final printouts, we'll send some paper copies here as well.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you very much. All right, the next item on the agenda is the approval of the appointment to the Mountain Water Board. As we discussed at a prior meeting, Mr. Kevin Varney has resigned from the Mountain Water Board, and there's an unexpired term. It is my motion and nomination that Gerald Mitchell Justice, who is a teacher in the Pike County School System, Mitch has a master's degree in education. He is a graduate of Morehead State University and lives at Naris Branch. He's a Mountain Water customer. And it would be my motion and nomination that Gerald Mitchell Justice be appointed to fill the unexpired term of Kevin Varney on the Mountain Water Board. Would there be a second? There's a second by Commissioner Booth. Any question or discussion on this? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson,
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett,
Yes.
Commissioner Booth,
Yes.
Judge Jones.
Yes. The next item is the adoption of a resolution of the Pike County Fiscal Court authorizing the filing of a community development block grant application for the Kemper Volunteer Fire Department building project and authorization for the county judge executive to execute all related documents. Ms. Sharon Hall has worked with Chief Troy Hunt on this. They have saved money. As I understand it, Sharon, this will be basically additional funding that they would match with money that they've saved. All right. And we want to commend Chief Hunt and the Kemper Fire Department for all they do. They do an outstanding job. They've worked with us to try to locate an ambulance there. The big issue is the staffing of that ambulance. So is there a motion to adopt the resolution?
Motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Booth. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Tackett. Is there any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson,
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett.
Yes.
Commissioner Booth.
Yes.
Judge Jones.
Yes. Next item is the adoption of resolution of the Pike County Fiscal Court authorizing the filing of a Kentucky Emergency Management Grant application for a standby generator for the Belfry Volunteer Fire Department and authorization for the county judge executive to execute all related documents. Sharon will file the EMA application this is additional EMA funds made available under the Federal Emergency Management Performance Grant that was in the 2020 grant cycle. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Booth. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Robertson. Any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson. Yes. Commissioner Tackett. Commissioner Booth.
Yes.
Judge Jones.
Yes. Next item is the adoption of a resolution of the Pike County Fiscal Court authorizing the filing of a Kentucky Emergency Management Assistance Grant application for the Pike County Emergency Communication System Rebuild and Update Plan Phase 3 for the Pike County Emergency Management, authorizing the county judge executive to execute all related documents. This again is additional funds made available under the Federal Emergency Management Program, Performance Grant 2020 cycle. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Tackett. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Robertson. Any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes. The next item is something that we sort of touched on. I have enclosed at the last, I think it was the last court meeting. I'm not sure if Mr. King may have been in court on child support matters. Colonel Downing was here. We discussed, there's the road boss there. We discussed a review of the ordinance that we use to take in county roads. We have done an exhaustive search, I assume, Lisa, and we cannot find a specific ordinance that the county has ever entered. The only language that addresses roads being taken into the road system is contained in the county's administrative code, which I don't know why it was ever put in there, but it was left in there when we came in office and reviewed it. I have read KRS Chapter 178. That is the statute that deals with public roads. And I've asked Mr. King, and this is very important, and Colonel Downey and Mr. Little, the road supervisor, to get together and draft an ordinance that relates to our county roads and how we take them in. Because this got to be controversial here over the last few months, Fabian, over a bridge that was, whether this bridge was ever in the county road system or not. We couldn't find any evidence that it was. The residents there said it was. The bridge needs to be replaced. It's unsafe. And I'm not going to go into where it's at. But there was a question about whether the county could even take it in now. And your position and my position was you could not legally do it.
Right. Correct.
The way the county's administrative code is, there has to be two homes on the same road to be taken in. I have never thought, after reading the statutes, that that was legal. It's just, so I had someone send me, and there's a copy of this in everybody's packet. It's an Attorney General's opinion from 2016. And I didn't write this, but KRS Chapter 178 says that county roads have to serve a public purpose. And the summary from, and let me just point out the Attorney General's opinions do not have the weight of law, but they are well researched and well thought out. And keep in mind, this is also the agency that prosecutes local officials for doing public work on private property.
Also a supervisor.
And also supervisors. So I'm not going to disagree with the Attorney General's interpretation of Kentucky law, considering that that the Attorney General is the chief law enforcement officer in Kentucky. But the summary of this is that maintenance of a county road that serves only one or two landowners does not constitute a public purpose, and the road should be discontinued as a county road. That's what it says. Now, we've got to look at these because there's some caveats to that. But it would be, my suggestion is that we don't act on any other roads until we get this review done to make sure that what we're doing is legal.
And I would have to agree with that.
And it's not mean we're going to take your road out of the road system, but specifically, I think we need to take a look just to cover ourselves that this what we're doing is legal. The News Express editorial commented on this 2 weeks ago, that they supported our efforts to clean this mess up. Because, just to be quite honest, it's not the taxpayer's responsibility to take care of a private problem.
No.
And we've got limited resources, and we have found a lot of stuff that's been done in years past that would really constitute a violation of Kentucky's Constitution. In this opinion states specifically, Kentucky Constitution Section 3 provides that no grant of exclusive, separate, public emoluments or privileges shall be made to any man or set of men except in consideration of public services. And Section 171 of the Kentucky Constitution provides that taxes shall be levied and collected for public purposes only. The Kentucky's Supreme Court in 1968 was then Court of Appeals. It says basically the public convenience must be consulted, and the common will represented by the county court must prevail over individual advantages and wishes. The advantages which anyone derives from a highway are adventitious. The duration of their enjoyment depends on the continuance or discontinuance of the road, and this depends not on the will or interest of an individual, but on the common good and public sentiment. And the court concluded in the absence of a public need, a showing of individual inconvenience is insufficient to keep the road open. So there's a whole bunch of cases that it cites. We're not going to set out here to undo or try to harm people, but I do want, before we take any other roads in, to make sure that we're taking them in compliance with the law, because I wasn't aware of this Attorney General's opinion, but when I read KRS Chapter 178, I was very concerned.
Yeah.
So, but I will leave it up to the court. I mean, we've got a second reading on here, and I'll leave it up to the court if they want to make a motion on this, since it's had a second reading. I've not looked at this road myself. It's E&J Road. If you all want to act on it, I'm not going to stand in the way, but I do have some concerns.
I mean, second reading.
Because it's ready for action to be adopted in.
Where's this road at?
It's in Little Robinson, the head of Little Robinson.
Main head.
And it is 2 homes.
Huh?
2 homes.
Two landowners that signed up on a petition. Is it only 2 homes?
It is.
Not that we just had 2, only 2.
It is only 2.
I'd recommend we hold off until we can get a better view of what we're doing here.
How long did you say it was, Fabian?
It's only 2 homes. There's only 2 homes on this.
Well, what's the past? The last of them's been 2 homes, hasn't it? This second reading.
This would be the second reading. If you take it in, it would be adopted.
I'll make a motion to take it in.
Okay, so there's a motion to accept Colonel Downey, won't you please present the second reading, and then it will be eligible for a motion.
Second reading, notice of passage. Whereas it has been determined to be in the best interest of the public for the Pike County Fiscal Court to formally accept public roads in the Fiscal County road system and under KRS 178.1010, subsection 1, subsection B. Now therefore it be ordained by the Fiscal Court of Pike County, Commonwealth of Kentucky, that the following road, being public in nature, being is hereby formally and officially accepted in the Pike County road system and shall hereafter be a part of said system. It's road in District Number 2. The road name is E&J Road. Its length is 422 feet and its width is 15 feet. It was, first reading was May 24th.
Is there a motion to adopt E and J Road into the county road system?
Motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Tackett. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Robertson. Any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson,
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett.
Yes.
Commissioner Booth. Judge Jones.
I'm going to abstain, because I do have concerns over this Attorney General's opinion. And that doesn't mean that anything's being done wrong. It's just, it's been done this way in Pike County for forever, and I'm not sure it's been done correctly.
Well, I mean, if that's the case, we're gonna have to back up the last 4 or 5 years and,
That might be,
you know, so,
that might be a problem. And that may
the
be,
way I look at it, it's been good for how long it's been the same rule, Pike County, so. Well, more ain't gonna hurt nothing.
A lot of the problem that we've got, with a lot of the houses, and we saw it on one a few weeks ago, is there was, the bridge, for example, there was a sufficient number of houses when it was taken in, and now because of people moving out or homes being dilapidated, abandoned, whatever the case is, there may not be the requisite number of houses now, and that's probably more of a concern than roads that were taken in that weren't proper in the first place.
Conference, I guess before Christmas, I spoke with Rich Ornstein on that same bridge, and he told me the same thing. I mean, it's, you know, where the houses was there, it never been in the road system. They worked it anyway, but where there wasn't a house on the one road, 2 homes on the one road, it did make it a illegal bridge. So I mean, there wasn't no further moving forward on my end of trying to do something unless, you know, where I hear the situation, there's 2 property owners. What if somebody decides to build a house over there? What does that do?
If an additional house is added?
Yeah.
You've got to, under the Attorney General's opinion, under the statutes, I've got to think you've got to examine it and see if it serves a public purpose.
there's a separate statute that talks about dead-end userways.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be 4 parcels in that statute.
Right.
I can't, it's KRS 178, 405, 425. It's in the it's in one chapter, chapter 178. If you've got a piece of property, there has to be 4 parcels in order to take it in. And, you know, I'm sympathetic to anybody, and we've acted on roads that have 2 homes on them. But, you know, first, that was before I knew about this Attorney General's opinion.
Right.
And second, after reading 178, we really need an ordinance. Kevin has a 16-page draft of an ordinance on county roads.
I agree with that.
And I mean, how in the world that this county's operated without a comprehensive ordinance for years? Something we should, I'll take the blame, we should have done this early on.
First day.
We've had enough problems to deal with in the last 3.5 years. But my position is that I don't feel comfortable voting on any road ordinance till we have a comprehensive ordinance that says what a county road is. And so, Madam Clerk, we have 2 votes for and 2 abstains. So I think that defeats the measure. I think we can bring this back up once we get an ordinance in place and reevaluate it. I just, like I said, I have concerns over I'm more than willing, you know, we can undertake this again once we get something in place on it. But, you know, it's no different than if I tried to take my driveway in because I got 2 houses on it, you know what I'm saying? And, so the matter fails, for lack of a, majority vote. And, like I said, we can reevaluate this. All right. Next item on the agenda is the first reading of a proposed ordinance adopting Luida into the county road system. Same thing? All right. We can go ahead and do a first reading on it until we get this.
I just, Judge, we just don't need to read on it. We don't have a first reading. We don't need to till we find out.
Well, you can give it a first reading and not act on it. That'll give us some time to do something on it. And we can come back on this E&J Road. I want to talk to Rich Ornstein at CAECO. I mean, and Jason, if you want to withdraw the motion or ask to reconsider it, I'll make a motion. Here's what I'll do. I'll make a motion to reconsider the vote that was taken, because I can make it because I was on the prevailing side. I'll make a motion to reconsider the vote by which this proposed ordinance on E&J Road was taken. Is there a second?
What now?
I'll make a motion to reconsider the vote that we just took where this vote failed.
Yeah, I make the motion.
Okay, so we have a motion. I made the motion. Do you second the motion?
Second.
Okay. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson,
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett.
Yes.
Commissioner Booth.
Yes. Okay, so I would make a motion to table the second reading of the proposed ordinance for E&J Road until such time as we can do some more research on this, either by contacting the Attorney General, the Department of Transportation, or get some guidance from Rich Ornstein at CAECO on this. Would there be a second?
Second.
So, second. So, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson,
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett.
Yes.
Commissioner Booth, Judge Jones.
So we will pass over then, lay on the table, this resolution on E&J Road. Then I would also move that we would pass over the next item on the agenda, which is the first reading of a proposed ordinance adopting Luida into the county road system. Is there a second? Not sure.
We're gonna pass over the next few.
Just passed over the next one till we can get some time to do some research on this.
Second.
Okay. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson,
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett.
Yes.
Commissioner Booth, Judge Jones.
Yes. So we're gonna pass over the second reading on E&J Road and the first reading on Luida until we can get some guidance on this. I just think it's just to cover ourselves to make sure we're doing this right. The next item is the first reading of a proposed amendment to ordinance number 040522-012, adding section 4. And Roy, can you give us some idea on what this one is?
Yes, Judge. This is the ordinance on with tree trash and that kind of stuff and where it needs to go. Previously, there was 3 sections to this, and what we did was we added a proposed section 3, and then the old section 3 becomes section 4, and section 4 would be the penalty section. What has been proposed under to add section 3, it shall be unlawful for anyone to place trees, tree trimmings, or other tree debris by the side of county roads and creeks. Any and all tree waste or byproducts need to be taken to contracted sites or sites approved by the Pike County Road Supervisor. A contracted site may be one that somebody's paid to use or has an agreement to use. Obviously, if the county's approved the site, then that's good to go too. But they just can't dump it wherever they want to. They have to have, now some of this, if a person wants to dump it on private property and they have a contract with that person who owns that private property, then that's a whole separate issue. I think they can still do that.
All right. This is adding some additional language on the ordinance that we passed that was brought to us by, the issue was brought to us by Duke Chapman up on Mead House. Basically, it says it makes it unlawful for anyone to place trees, tree trimmings, or other tree debris by the side of county roads and creeks. Because as you know, they've been stopping up drains and ditches and everything else. So we've got the first reading of this. Any comments on this? Anybody want to address it?
I want to say on this, Judge, I've got two places that we clean up all the time. One of them's on Gap Branch over there, and the other one's over here at Shelby. I think we need to invest in something to catch these people that's dumping this.
I agree. I don't know how we do it. I mean, I
got an idea.
well, we'll discuss it in private, because, I mean, we can discuss proposed well, go ahead. We probably can't discuss it.
I mean, it's just like Fabian, we found out who two of them were, didn't we?
Fabian.
I mean, this just costs us a whole lot of money to go and clean these things up, and then in a week or two, they're dumping it again.
Well, the problem also was, they'd set that on fire, and then the fire department had to be called to come put it out.
Yeah. I mean, we've got to find some way. I mean, when we pass this ordinance, it gets passed, it should go in effect immediately. And then we won't have to fool with all this every time. These people's going to pay if they're going to dump that stuff out on our road.
Well, they're making money. Most of them are doing this for.
Well, both of these people that I was told that had done this were tree services.
And that's what's dumping over at Shelby too.
But they're not the big, these are local.
Well, I mean, how many times we cleaned up at Gap Branch since we've been in? Twice, 3 times?
Yeah, about 3. Shelby, though, we clean it probably twice a year, 3 times a year.
Yeah. It takes a whole lot of money for this county to do that.
Commissioner, if I think we can actually bring these people before the court here and fine them, if you look at the penalty under Section 4, and also charge them for the cost of abatement. We need to identify them, catch them, and then bring them in here and let you all, kind of decide whether or not they deserve a fine and, the cost of cleanup, which is, if we're going to have to clean it up, then that puts a little bit more work on the road commissioner if he has to clean it up. But, we need to get some cost figures on this, bring them in here and say, you've been told about this, fine them and make them pay the cost of cleanup. But we got to catch them.
Fabian probably knows what it costs to clean it up.
Yeah.
Is this just like business contractors or?
No, these were tree service.
Okay. 'Cause
Local tree
I mean,
service.
you may have some individuals owns property that may trim trees out of their yards or something and pile them up, and then when they dry out, burn them. So, I mean, you're going to have situations like that.
Yeah, but most of those don't dump them right beside the county road.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, though, you may have people that's.
This up here, that Commissioner Robertson's talking about, they'd block part of the county road off with the brush. It was.
Yeah.
got
Well,
so bad.
I can see that, but I'm just saying you may have individuals around their homes that's got maybe a wide spot or something beside the road where they trim their apple trees or cherry trees or something and pile it up, and when it dries out, burns it. I mean,
You mean on their own property?
Yes.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we've never have. I mean, it's just like in that ordinance, if you want to let any tree service come dump on your property, there's not a thing we could do about it, or we don't even want to.
Right. Well,
We
I
just
I
want to
mean, I
keep it
want
out of the
people
waterways and out of the road.
to understand that. I mean, if they trimming their trees around their yards or something and pile them up there to burn them when they dry out, I mean, I don't see nothing wrong with that. I mean,
Well, we just want to make Pike
Not
County look
hindering-
better,
as long as it's
when
not
they travel our
hindering.
roads.
no, I'm not talking about
Yeah.
hindering roads. I'm
Right.
talking about if they've got
Yeah.
because you just said beside creeks or roads or whatever, and they may have a wide spot beside the road that they burn, and
Which now, honestly, I mean, that can become a problem too. I mean, we're kind of getting into an area, but Commissioner Robertson and I went to a place, about a month ago, where a homeowner had done exactly what you said. Problem was, is he piled all the stuff up in the
Put it-
creek,
yeah,
not
put it
beside
in
the
the
creek.
creek.
He put it in the
No,
creek.
no, I'm not talking about in
And
the creek. I'm talking about beside the.
so we had to, we had to do something there because first water, it was gonna stop all of our drains up.
Yep.
I'm with you on it. I mean, I got a message the other night on a separate issue. Somebody stopped and took a bunch of construction debris, drywall and stuff, right up on top of Ford Mountain and just dumped it right beside the road. I mean, we think it was somebody from West Virginia. I don't know if Bruce or Kevin's got him cited yet. But if we catch you doing this stuff, we're gonna try to cite you and Kevin's gonna try to put you in jail. And
I mean, we'll never clean this county up until we stop this right here.
And
Because usually when you see the brush there, people's going to throw out garbage bags. They're going to throw out this and that. I mean,
Well, that's what I'd even told the deputy judge early on, is that, for a long time, the county road department was at fault for causing a lot of these dumps. And it was because we were guilty also of when we have a tree fall in the middle, we would go cut it and we'd go dump it somewhere. And then wherever we dump that tree at, automatically someone thinks it's now a garbage dump and they start throwing all the trash out there. So we've done better, even on the road department, of where we take and what we do with our debris, our tree debris.
well, I think this will be a positive first step on it.
It will be. It will be.
But I mean, you can see where these companies go, and they usually leave a lot of stuff laying around. You've been talking about these tree trimming companies for 2 years or 3.
yeah.
So
Now I have to say something too, and I don't know, but now I hate to even, the one tree company that I have dealt with, I'm not going to mention the name, but the one I've dealt with, I promise you they bent over backwards to do just about everything that I asked them to do, and they went above and beyond to clean up.
well, there was some confusion about whether we were going to designate a place. I mean, it's up to them to find a place.
And the thing
You
is
just
too,
have
is
to,
also
you just
is-
have to approve it.
Yeah, right. I just have to prove it, but it is hard for me to try to designate a place.
It's not our job.
Have county property everywhere. We don't have county property that we can go and say, okay, you can dump here.
Well, it was never our intention for the county to be in the business of designated a dumping
Exactly
site.
right.
It's our job to approve where they're going to dump it.
If it's going to hinder our road or creeks.
You agree with that, Colonel?
That's the way the ordinance that's already in place reads, but I think that you all will bring them in here, catch these people, bring them in here,
And fine them.
and fine, you gotta give them a public hearing, but they, I think we're at that step where we catch a few red-handed or whatever we gotta do, we'll bring fine them, we make them pay the cost to clean up, maybe people will take it seriously.
I'll tell you something else I'd like for you to work on is that goes sort of along the same lines of solid waste is these blighted properties, nuisance properties. Under the existing ordinance, we can only tear it down and then go back after the owner to clean it up. I think we need to put in place an ordinance that allows the fiscal court to declare a public property a nuisance and assess a fine of say $300 a day on the property owner until the nuisance is abated. And
Or can we put it on their property tax?
that's either sue it and reduce it to a judgment, or to put it on the property tax.
That's the only way you're going to clean this county up.
I mean, Brian's had how many over in your area, Brian, where people just walked off and left these properties and
Well,
He has
I
quite a
did
few.
too, and I've got more.
Yeah, he has one area, Commissioner Robertson, that's,
People don't want to look at that stuff.
I looked at one yesterday and they abandoned the place. They moved off. According to the neighbors, they moved to Virginia. The drains is rotten, falling in now. Water, when the creek gets up, water's running down the road. I mean, looks to me like that we should be able to go in there
and see what you're saying. It also poses a problem to me as road department, because it's what you just said. When they leave and they leave those drains in there, once those drains start collapsing, then I have to go take those drains out, but then I have to document everything to try to make sure that, if they come back and say, well, you took my drain out, it was a perfectly fine drain. Whenever you removed it, I want a drain put back, and that's where you get into.
Well, and most of the time, if the drains do fall in, you can't get to the dilapidated house to even clean it up unless you go through the creek.
We're doing other things to try to catch some of these people that are dumping this stuff too. We just, we just need to catch 2 or 3 of them and let Kevin put them in jail for about 6 months. And that'll stop them from dumping their garbage out on the on the side of the road or in the creeks.
And we're all on the same page, so.
Well, I mean, they're out there every day, so. All right. The next item, I don't know if Mr. Maynard in here. The next item is to clarify a section in the administrative code that deals with sick leave, which gives a little bit more flexibility about when employees can be paid. It's something that should have been done, at some point in the past to help make sure our employees can use their sick time when they're sick. Roy, can you give the first reading on this?
Okay, amendment, section 462, sick leave, section 2, subsection, small number A. Section 462, sick leave. Subsection 1, all full-time employees shall be granted 2 working days sick leave credit with pay for each completed calendar month of continuous service. The employee must have paid for at least half of the days in the month to earn sick leave days. Sick leave may be accumulated not to exceed 60 days. Subsection 2, to be eligible to use earned sick leave, the employee must meet the following conditions: be absent from work for at least 4 consecutive working days, except in the case of surgery, hospitalization, visits to after clinics, urgent care clinics, or physician appointments with a doctor's note.
Thank you, sir. This will be in probably not in the next meeting, but the meeting after. I'm not sure we can get it advertised before.
Right.
Yeah, so it'd probably be the first July meeting.
Yes.
All right. The next item is discussion of potential authorization to hire additional contractors to do title searches for the Pike County ATV trail system. Mr. King, would you please, I think you've got some information on this.
I would. This is something that I addressed. Jerry Atkins and I had talked at length about some of our title searches, and I'd spoke with Commissioner Roberts and Commissioner Tackett. The issue we've got is depending on which set of property we're looking at. Some of these are a lot more complicated than others, depending on the transfer and the conveyance history. And unfortunately, that is holding up some aspect of getting their trails developed. So I've reached out to some other attorneys, Max Thompson being one in the community that does title searches on a daily basis, to see if there'd be any interest. Because if we can't speed them up, what we can do is we can get more contractors doing the title searches. I think Jerry and I are on the same page on this. If we can get 2 or more, ever how many we can get doing the title searches, then hopefully we can acquire the property at a lot quicker rate and get this trail system going. So it'd be my recommendation that if the court is amenable, that we expand our contractors on the title searches, and if other folks want to do it at the same rate we've previously recommended, that we bring them in and start doing this at a quicker clip so we can get our trails going.
Is there a motion to hire Max Thompson to do title searches for the trail system at $150 per title?
Motion.
A motion by Commissioner Tackett. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Robertson. Any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson,
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett.
Yes.
Commissioner Booth. Judge Jones.
Yes. Next item is the approval of a 3% cost of living payroll increase for Pike County Fiscal Court employees effective June 26, 2022. I think, Frankie, this is just because it's easier than starting on July 1st.
It starts the payroll period for that 2-week payroll, and if we didn't do it that way, then we would have like June 26th through the 30th at one pay rate, and the other 10 days. A whole lot easier not to do a payroll adjustment for every employee.
Is there a motion to authorize?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Robertson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Tackett. Any question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth? Judge Jones?
Yes. We've got a discussion of the hog trial location and potential action on the handicap accessible modifications. I'd like to hold off on that till after, just for a few minutes, till we come back from executive session, because I have something I need to read. Next item is awarding of bids. Mr. Fannin is not here. That will be passed over. Mr. Little, anything from the road supervisor's office?
One thing I would like to say is that, we'll be starting Penny Street Bridge soon. We went over there today, we're clearing off some trees and everything, we're getting, gas lines, sewer lines marked, to find out where all of our utility lines are at, and, got a power pole to move, but we will be starting that soon,
When do you think it will be started?
next week.
This is something that, there's about 100 homes over there. Commissioner Tackett really delivered for those folks over there,
Oh, he
because
did.
he hand delivered
Absolutely.
the drawing and the plans to Transportation Secretary Jim Gray.
That's right.
And he was not going to take no for an answer. And I think that the folks up there need to recognize how hard Commissioner Tackett worked to make this possible. We worked together, got $350,000, and it's taken a while to get this thing done because we've had to do a study to make sure we weren't going to kill crawdads.
Exactly.
20 grand had to be spent on that, and we've had to acquire some property. We're having to move some utilities.
Yeah, and that's gonna be, which we could still start with the bridge, but before the road can be completed, that's just stuff that has to be moved around, but we can still start Monday on the bridge.
All right, good job. Yeah, all right. We also have the road maintenance and work orders list. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Robertson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Tackett. Any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes. Next item's treasurer's business. Mr. Stacy.
Acknowledge receipt of the treasurer's monthly financial statement ending May 31st, 2022.
Is there a motion to acknowledge receipt of the treasurer's monthly financial statement? Ending, motion by Commissioner Robertson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Booth. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes.
Acknowledge receipt of the sheriff and clerk's 2550 report for May 2022.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Booth. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Tackett. Any question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes.
Authorized checks for lodging, registration, and expenses for any employee who wishes to attend the 2022 Kentucky Local Issues Conference, August 17th through the 19th at the Galt House in Louisville.
Is there a motion to authorize registration expenses for employees attending the Governor's Local Issues Conference?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Robertson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Tackett. Any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes. All right. Any other business, sir?
We were not done.
All right. We do need to go into executive session. Mr. King, would you please instruct the public on the relevant provisions of the Kentucky Open Meeting Law as it pertains to the entry into executive session for purposes of discussing specific personnel matters and pending litigation?
It's KRS 61810 subsection C and F.
Is there a motion to enter into executive session? Motion by Commissioner Tackett. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Booth. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson? Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes, we will stand in recess for executive session. We'll return to call the chair. To adjourn from executive session.
Motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Robertson. Is there a second by Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson? Yes. Commissioner Tackett? Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
We had we had a couple things that didn't make the agenda today. One was the discussion of the Phelps Park, which is a mess. The other one is this hog trial cabin that has been discussed as making some alterations to this facility to make it ADA compliant so that they can have a polling place there as a way to attract some attention relating back to the historical implications of having an election there at that facility. We have asked Commonwealth Building Construction, who was the company that built it, and to submit a proposal to do this. We asked Commonwealth to do this because they're the ones that built it. Mark White, who runs Commonwealth Building, is probably the most knowledgeable person about this structure. And this structure is not built using modern construction technology. It's built using 18th or 19th century construction technology. And there's two or three things. One, to raise the door to make ADA compliant, the main support beam that supports the second floor has to be cut in two. The modification of this facility presents some significant risk to the structure. And there was another proposal submitted by a very qualified contractor, but I'm not sure that this is a matter of simply building a ramp and raising the door. We have a 3-page proposal, or actually a 2-page proposal with numerous photographs that Commonwealth has submitted. And we have just basically a small proposal from another vendor. What would be the court's preference on this? Would commissioners have anything to add?
Excuse me.
Would you like to, you have any comments on these proposals on the hog trial cabin?
Well, the only thing that I say is this cabin probably $450,000 or something, and we need somebody that has worked on this before, I think, to do this job.
My concern is the people that build it know the structure, and like I said, this is not just a simple matter of raising a door in a house. This is a bigger project than I think that any of us imagined. We've got the two proposals. Is there a motion for either proposal?
I'll make the motion. I want Commonwealth Builders to do it.
Okay.
I think they're the most qualified. I'm not saying anything about this other company. I don't know, but Mark has put this structure up years ago. He knows you've got one beam you got to cut that could let the whole structure fall.
I'll second the motion. Is there any other discussion on it? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
No.
Judge Jones?
Yes. Next item is personnel decisions. Our personnel manager's gone. He had an appointment out of the office, but it would be my motion to approve hiring Jared Ratliff as a CDL truck driver at Road Lot 5 at a 4H rate of pay effective 6/1/22. To hire Ethan Tackett as a temporary general laborer on the special road crew at a 2H rate of pay effective 6/1/22. To hire Gavin Branham as a temporary general laborer on a special road crew at a 2H rate of pay effective 6/1/22. To accept Brian Fields' resignation 5/13/22. To accept Cody Young's resignation effective 5/20/22. To approve hiring Savannah Burke as a custodian at the AOC building at a 2H rate of pay effective 6/3/22. To move Melissa Prater to the Belfry Courthouse as custodian at the same rate of pay as effective 6/2/22. To move Joy Church to Public Works as a general laborer at the same rate of pay as effective 6/2/22. To hire Sean West as a carpenter in Public Works at a 5H rate of pay effective 6/6/22. And to move Jerry Atkins from a 4A to a 5A rate of pay effective 6/14/22. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Robertson. Any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson,
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett.
Yes.
Commissioner Booth.
Yes.
Judge Jones.
Yes. Department supervisors' comments. I'm not going to call everybody's name. Anybody have anything to add? All right. Deputy Judge Hickman, you've got a health department board meeting. Anything you'd like to add, sir? No, sir. All right. Colonel Down, anything?
No?
Okay.
See if you want to meet with you later.
I do need to meet with you briefly after the court meeting. Mr. Keene, anything?
Just real quick, while we were on the break, I did reach out to Max Thompson about the title searches. Jerry, he'll be expecting your call. He's willing to do the searches at the rate we discussed. So if you've got some you want to send down there, you can contact him directly and he'll get on it for you. Yes, sir.
Commissioner Tackett, anything, sir?
I'm good in that, Judge.
Commissioner Roberts, anything?
Good.
Commissioner Booth?
Nope.
Roy, I'll just tell you briefly, one of the things I want you to draft us is an ordinance on this modifier or nuisance property ordinance to basically say that if the court declares a property a nuisance, we can assess a civil fine of up to $300 a day against the property owner or owners, and that we can either reduce that to judgment by filing a civil suit and forcing to sell the property through foreclosure proceedings, or we can put it on the property tax bill. That'll help us get rid of some of those properties, like up at Sycamore, the abandoned home up there. We've had a call. I had a call earlier while we were in here about a property at Phelps with the same problem. So if, and I'll talk to you about those momentarily.
We've got a plan, and it's just, but I'll be glad to share that. That I talked about, combining some of these and actually doing some suits. But it's something we need to do a little bit more discussion before I jump out and spill guts on there, all of it.
We'll do that here after the meeting. All right, thanks, sir. All right. Any other business to come before the court? Commissioner Booth, would you say the benediction, sir?
Dear Heavenly Father, as we come before you, dear Lord, Lord, watch over everyone as we travel to our homes, dear Heavenly Father, and Lord, bless us, Lord, that every decision we make, Lord, is the right decision for this county, for this court, dear Heavenly Father. Lord, watch over us in the coming days, dear Heavenly Father, as we travel, and Lord, bless and watch over those that are sick right now, dear Heavenly Father. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Is there a motion to adjourn? Motion by Commissioner Tackett. Is there a second? Second.
Second.
Is there a second on the motion to adjourn?
Second.
Commissioner Booth? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson. Yes. Commissioner Tackett. Commissioner Booth.
Yes.
Judge Jones.
Yes, we are adjourned.